Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Is there a new mobilization in the talks on the pipeline? It seems like the Russians are talking about it. I have this article that just came a few minutes ago actually, and it was a video attached to this. It was live that I watched part of it, where President Putin meets the Defense Minister Shoigu to discuss partial mobilization. Now, is this a new mobilization they're talking about? They're planning? Because the situation on the front, aside from Avdiivka and Bakhmut offensives, there's nothing else. The Ukrainians are little steps nothing, and the rest is just blowing up buildings left and right. So let's see what these guys are saying in this article. So this article comes from Sputnik, and this is the title. Russian President Putin meets Defense Minister Shoigu to discuss partial mobilization. And it's 41 minutes ago. I watched the live situation, the talk between the two guys, one on this side and the other on that side. Last month, Russia announced it would mobilize 300,000 new troops, drafting people with military specialties and experience in order to protect the country, as Russian forces are fighting in a special operation in Ukraine. President Vladimir Putin met Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu to discuss the partial mobilization in the country amid a special military operation in Ukraine. Now, what was discussed between these two guys was how the things are going on the front, or in the front, on the front, at the front, and if everything goes okay. Shoigu, yes, everything goes okay. And then something very curious that Putin said, we'll meet again in December to discuss as an update to see if all our objectives were fulfilled. Now, they didn't mention what the objectives are, and they spoke about the partial mobilization. I didn't catch saying, hey, we need to start an extra mobilization, which I do not put it past the situation that occurs in Ukraine. The thing is, what I think the Russians are doing right now is not necessary. No, not necessary. I don't think they want a counteroffensive. They, I think, employ the minimum personnel for a counteroffensive. The Ukrainians are able to, keep them contained. It seems like in the two areas that I mentioned, the two settlements, Avdiivka and Bakhmut, and they will just keep the front as it is. I'm assuming to see what's happening in the West and in Ukraine with the energy shortage. I think that the Russians' calculation, or one of them, is, we're going to keep it this way. Winter is coming. Don't need to force anything. Let's keep those guys without energy, without food, without all these things that they need. I'm talking about the Ukrainians and the Western countries who, their citizens unfortunately are hit by high inflation. We're going to be unemployment, people in the street, and we'll see, maybe they crack. I think this is what the Russians are expecting until February, March. And in February, March, things will be reshuffled in a way that Russians probably by then say, okay, a new mobilization, bring everything up, either go in or keep it the same way. Bam, 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 bam. Why? Those guys, the leaders, the guys in Washington, try to drain Russia of resources. And that's their plan. Get them submit. These guys want those guys to submit by not giving up, and they hope that the sanctions that European Union and the Americans imposed on Russia will start biting them more than bites the Russian economy and society. So I think that's what we are right now. And in the meantime, both try to form their own groups. These are our people, these are our people, and they try to, especially the United States of America, use blackmail, threats, and regime change in countries that do not jump on their bandwagon. But we'll see. As of now, from everything I saw and I read, is that the Western countries are more hurt than the Russian economy and society. The problem is, it's like when you have a country that tries economically, has an economic boom. Let's say it's I'm going to give an example, like a third world country, economically suppressed and whatever. Now investments go over there, and they can have a rate of growth very big, 7, 8, 9%, per year. They can have that. Now, United States has maybe 1%, 2%, 1.5%, and that's great. They will never have 9%, 10% because they are at the tip of the mountain. They are the ones that push further. Now these guys are at the bottom, right here. So from here, they have a lot of things. They have everything is in front of them. The path is already charted for them. So with investments and right economic policies and environment, those guys will be able to climb. But once they start climbing, they will get again from, let's say, 10%, 9%, going to go to 7, 6, 2, and they're going to get to, if they get the top, going to go to the 1%, maybe 1.5%. Remember how was the so-called, it was the Japanese miracle, economic miracle. Remember, that was what, 60s, 70s, and beginning of 80s, and then it died. Right now is no more miracle. And then it was the I was about to say North Korean, South Korean miracle, economic miracle. It was what, in the 90s, was it? I think. And that started, or it was also because those guys said, no capital will leave South Korea. And they punished those guys with imprisonment and other things if they would take capital out of South Korea and invest in other countries. Not like here. They formed their capital here and then they invested somewhere else. These guys remained without jobs. They became a service-based economy, which is bullshit, just to call it that way. And then they gave job over there and then gave to the other countries wherever they invested with very low work pay. And then they brought the products here to be bought by whom? By people who don't have money? Oh, it's okay, the government take care of them. So they got into the service business here. That means don't produce anything. So if those guys get upset with you, you don't have anything because those guys are not going to send you anything. It's very, very intelligent. But that's what it's supposed to work in a connected and interconnected global economy that the globalists want us to have. Not a good idea. You should have at least the strategic, and they have to a certain extent the strategic areas and covered, which would be food, medication, right, a medical system, and military, and the resources. The rest, I don't have clothes, you can bag that overnight, it's not a big deal. But food, you gotta wait a year until to start production in certain areas. But anyway, it's just, and to feed the whole population of what, 340 million almost. So I think the thing here with the new mobilization is going to be a new mobilization. If the Russians can't do shit and they want to advance, they need to mobilize more than up to 300,000 people that they are trying right now. They need to do that more than that. The Ukrainians, they don't have any more because they mobilized everybody at the beginning. And if they have to pick a few here and there, that's not going to be a lot. But remember, they started on the 24th, a lot of people died, and it becomes the, in a war you get sick of it, let's put it this way. And you don't fight with the same heart. Sometimes you do because you get more filled with hatred towards the enemy, but you just become sick of living the same bullshit. You want to go back to normality. Anyway, I don't know if these guys are going to mobilize, but I think they definitely prepared the ground for another mobilization, and I don't think that's out of the question. And if we're going to see another mobilization, probably going to be in February, March, when the spring comes. So it's going to be easier. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.